This is my first green screen video, so if I get it wrong, I don't give a shit. I'm in front of what I hope is my green screen. It's not green, it's white, but I'm making this video because these people called the Beasleys on YouTube did a reaction to empty places in America, and they're like, America is such a big place. Look, you've got these mountains in Washington State, and they're so different from the Grand Canyon. And in that moment, I'm like, I have to tell you, people who don't know much about Washington State, what actually is here. Because most of you in the world of the internet are probably familiar with this picture of Seattle. If it's showing up behind me, this is Seattle. Wherever it is, you can see the Space Needle. Look at the Space Needle. And you hear all the people talking about, oh, Seattle, you can get a rain tan. It rains in Seattle. Look at how cloudy it is all the time. But then, maybe you know about Mount Rainier, which is a really tall mountain volcano in Washington. And that's Mount Rainier. And that's Mount Rainier behind Seattle. And this is Mount Rainier behind Tacoma. And you're probably very familiar with this Washington, this version of Washington State. And you're probably familiar with this image, which is of the Cascade Mountains, and this image, which is of the Olympic Mountains. Maybe you're less familiar with this image, which is of the Pacific coast of the Olympic Peninsula. But you're probably going to assume that Washington is forests like these, or mountains like these, or cities like these. But did you know that this sand dune is in Washington State? And this canyon is in Washington State. Look at that river. Look at that canyon. Look at this canyon in Washington State. Look at this sand dune. Look at this desert. This is a desert in Washington State. Look at this wide open farm country is in Washington State. And look at this. That's in Washington. And look at this German village. Look at that. If you were walking around this town, you'd swear you were in Germany. But this is in Washington State. And look at this. If you were here, this is a town called Yakima, Washington. And if you were here and you just suddenly woke up and you didn't know where you were, and the last thing you remember was being in Los Angeles, you might still think you're somewhere around the bend, but you're in Washington State in this image. And look at this. That's in Washington. And look at that, and that, and that, and that. And this. This is all Washington State. So, yeah. It's bigger than you think.